Hello, everyone. Our group will be demonstrating the slides based on the article titled The Enduring Fantasy of Porn's Harmlessness by Christine Emba. This article was published in May 2025. This article takes a look at how modern pornography is shaping the sexual behaviors and attitudes of the younger generations, specifically the harsh and objectifying material it has. My name is Yomaris, and this presentation is for our SOP 3742 Psychology of Women course during the summer 2025 semester. Joining me on this project are Gloria, Theresa, Jaimie, and Caylin.
So we're reviewing the article, The Enduring Fantasy of Porn's Harmlessness. This article discusses the perils of pornography, arguing that viewing pornography is harmful and that believing otherwise is an illusion detrimental to society. It highlights how sexualization and objectification have been taken to such extremes that sex workers must go to great lengths just to be noticed. One example mentioned is Mrs. Phillips' documentary in which she filmed herself sleeping with 100 men in a single day. Many find such extremes difficult to comprehend. The article also explores how pornography has flooded the internet, appearing on 12% of websites. The content being viewed and created is increasingly violent and dehumanizing, featuring scenes of choking, spitting, and slapping, elements that are now commonplace, even in early sexual encounters. This shift is largely due to pornography becoming a learning tool, particularly for young people. As a result, some individuals have been unsuspectingly subjected to unwanted violence during sexual experiences. This is usually young women. Despite evidence of pornography's detrimental effects, few speak out against it. When people do, they are often dismissed as prudish, old fashioned, right wing extremists. However, the article highlights that some feminists are now taking a stand against pornography, aiming to rewrite the narrative and challenge the normalization of objectification. In this discussion, we will explore key course concepts including objectification, beauty norms, male gaze, body shaming, and addiction/compulsive behavior, and how these concepts relate to the article, The Enduring Fantasy of Porn's Harmlessness. Objectification is the act of viewing a person as an object rather than recognizing their thoughts, emotions, and autonomy. As mentioned in the article, pornography is especially prevalent, making it easy for individuals to objectify and dehumanize women. The article mentions how this objectification is, in fact, harmful and leads to negative outcomes. Objectification in any form, including viewing pornography, is particularly dangerous because men who objectify women tend to have a higher tolerance for violence against them, feel entitled to sex, and endorse coercive tactics to gain control. The article by Emba mentions this concerning trend of young men subjecting women to unwanted acts of aggression, including slapping, spitting, and choking. This aggression can be linked to pornography since it often contains sexual themes that are violent, dehumanizing, and feature actresses who are barely legal. This contributes not only to the objectification of women, but also young girls. When people are objectified, it leads to harmful consequences, including the internalization of unrealistic body norms and self objectification. Self objectification happens when individuals view themselves from an outsider's perspective, constantly evaluating and critiquing their appearance as though under constant scrutiny. This kind of thinking affects confidence, self worth, and even intimate experiences. This issue extends beyond appearance. It impacts how individuals engage in personal and intimate relationships. One of the areas where self objectification has the most impact is in sexual relationships. Instead of focusing on enjoyment and connection, many individuals, particularly women, feel pressure to meet unrealistic beauty and behavior standards. As the article mentions, prevalence of pornography plays a major role in this by reinforcing impossible ideas, worsening self objectification. Women find themselves prioritizing how they look or whether they measure up, rather than experiencing real pleasure and intimacy. Ultimately, self objectification limits personal freedom and happiness. Instead of living in the moment, people end up trapped in a cycle of self judgment, striving for unattainable perfection. One of the key processes that fueling this issue is the internalization of beauty norms, the societal standard dictating how people should look. When individuals absorb these expectations, they measure themselves against unrealistic ideals, reinforcing self criticism and insecurity. The impact of these beauty norms will be discussed next. Thank you.
This article discussed pornography and how it can affect and look at people in idealized way, especially women when it comes to the media. One of the main concepts that affect it and have a relation to how a woman is idolized is beauty norms. According to chapter 6, beauty norms are the standard of how you should look based on your group or within your group to meet society's standard. It's having us carrying our hair present in a certain way to meet the rigid gender, having a certain body shape that society wants to accept, especially when it comes to our skin color specific feature. We need to compliance in order to have society feel like we need to be accepted. This can impact cause issues mentally and physically. This concept plays a significant role as this article explores how it can make others look in a certain way to feel or be attractive in society, specifically when it comes to sexualizing women appearance over women capability. It also emphasizes how an idolizing body image can have an impact on younger and other generations, which can lead to body dysmorphia. Thank you.
This article argues that pornography shapes how we view and treat women. One key concept that helps us understand this is the male gaze. The male gaze is defined as the visual attention directed towards women's bodies, typically by heterosexual men, as stated on page 214 in the textbook. However, it can also come from the internalized belief women have that they exist to be looked at. The article and the chapter emphasize how women are constantly being watched, judged, and evaluated based on their appearance. As a result, many women begin to view themselves as objects instead of people, prioritizing how they look over who they are. Chapter 6 states that growing up in a culture that is obsessed with women's bodies can cause girls to learn to study themselves through how others perceive them. Their self worth becomes tied to how attractive they appear to others. Pornography makes this worse by normalizing harsh and degrading portrayals of women that blur the line between fantasy and reality. Emba argues that constantly being exposed to these objectifying images makes it difficult to see women as anything other than content. For Gen Z who are growing up absorbing this kind of media, these messages become part of how they understand relationships.
Pornography is not only harmful to the viewer, but it is also harmful to women around the globe. This has enabled the idea of body shaming in the community. Body shaming refers to the criticizing or mocking of someone's physical appearance, and this is deeply rooted in unrealistic beauty standards and expectations set by society. Body shaming does not only come from others, but it can also be self-inflicted. Mainstream pornography and today's culture has normalized the hypersexualization of women and has normalized seeing women as objects. This, in return, has made it harder for women to feel comfortable in their own skin or feel like they are in control of their body because they always feel like they're being sexualized no matter the case or the scenario. In chapter 6, we can see that in today's world, this has caused and put pressure on individuals to change their appearance to meet these porn-influenced ideals. And it has also contributed to a widespread of dissatisfaction and mental health issues in women as a result of trying to keep up with what the new ideal is.
Over time, users develop a tolerance and begin seeking more intense content which mirrors patterns we see in other behavior addictions as well. In our textbook, Chapter 7 discusses how pornography plays a huge role in shaping sexual scripts and reinforcing objectification, especially in sections 1 and section 2. They talk about how people learn about sex through porn, which can lead to problematic beliefs and behaviors. Section 5 also dives into how objectification can lead to sexualization, which links directly to the compulsive cycle. The articles we chose criticizes how society ignores these dangers, and our course content backs that up.
The next step should be to call out and inform others on how to bring awareness the way people are to women and bring more awareness on how beauty standards can impact as Chapter 6 went out. As Chapter 6 and 7 talks about sexualized outcome, it's important to have more information and education about the media based on people's approach. This can create accountability for others to start creating impact on other self-esteem. And with this impact, it can also marginalize people and create insecurity. Secondly, as we bring recognition to this matter, it's important to have an open dialogue and be openly discussed without having shame and feeling guilty based on a person's discussion and feelings. Lastly, school and community need to create and have a program and clubs that help promote positive, body positive, body positive tackles the way we can respond to bad interaction that can attract us in a way it doesn't break our confidence in not having no self-esteem. Thank you.
By recognizing how pornography influences the brain and reinforces gender scripts, we can start having more honest conversations. And if we want a culture that values healthy sexual and mental well-being, we need to challenge that fantasy and start demanding the truth.